So if you want to be competitive within your inbox, you can't be sending Klaviyo templated emails with huge blocks of text, especially for your welcome flow. This is people's first impression of your brand within the inbox, so presumably you want to make a good impression. You also want to make the most sales possible out of your welcome offer. You probably see a lot of emails from different brands that look insanely good and with high production quality. Then you probably think that you need to be working with some sort of agency, paying them £5,000 a month just to see good results. But truthfully, you don't have to. It's really not that hard. So in this video, I'm going to be going over how you can use Figma to design your emails, how to export them correctly, and how to build them out within Klaviyo inside your welcome flow. I'm going to be using a welcome flow example in this video, but all the principles still apply for campaigns and other flows, so you can still find some value. Also, I'm going to be going over a few common design mistakes that I see and how to fix them. If you don't want to see that part, feel free to skip over it. I'll make sure to leave timestamps either side. Okay, so enough of the intro, let's get into the video. So like I mentioned, creating cool looking emails isn't as hard as it seems. Obviously, all the emails on display here have been designed by professional designers. However, they don't need to look this good if you know how to optimize them for conversion rates. So how do you actually use Figma to design an email? So I'm just quickly going to go over the basics of Figma design, different principles you can transfer over to different campaigns, different flows, but specifically I'm going to be creating a welcome email for you today. Okay, so the first step to creating any email with inside Figma is creating your frame. This is essentially the canvas for the email, and every email will be the same size frame. So you want to hit F on your keyboard, you'll be prompted with a small plus icon, you then can draw your frame. Now, the width for every frame, for every email you make is 600. This is what we use. I'm not sure if other people use different sized frames. This is what I've always used, this is what's always worked for me, and this is the frame size that transfers best over into Klaviyo. Okay, so if we go up and look at these emails here, as you can see, all in common, they all have a hero image that looks nice with the headline and the copy. So if you look at this one, for example, we've got a hero image with the copy and the headline above it. Also, as you'll notice, basically all of these emails have a button above the hero image. So this is what we're going to want to replicate with our email. So for this email example, I've decided to go ahead and create an email for Casio G-Shock. I normally wear a G-Shock, so I thought, why not? Just for the sake of this video, I'm going to run through it quite quickly. So this is what I'm going to use for the hero image. Normally for hero images, if we're just doing basic emails, what I like to find is images with a blank color at the top. As you can see, there's a slight gradient in this one, but I'm going to show you a quick trick to make the hero image flow. So firstly, you want to create this image size 600, so it fits within our frame. You then want to go ahead and create a rectangle with our line up here, make it 600, and then you want to pick on the right hand side, you want to go over to the color picker and then pick a color from here. So go in the middle and then go to gradient, flip it upside down, copy paste our color code, and then make the bottom color 0 opacity. So now, as you can see, we can copy paste that and extend it up, and then we can take away the gradient, and now we have a nice flowing hero image just like that. We can extend this down just to make it flow a bit better, and yeah, that's sort of the basics of hero images. Obviously, if you don't have hero images like this, it does get a bit more tricky, and you want to start using different tools to cut this image out so you can create your own background. But just for the sake of this video and just for the basics of it, this is how we're going to do it. So let's go ahead and add this into our email here. I'm going to leave a gap at the top for our logo section. Again, as you'll notice, most of these emails have a logo section at the top with a slight border, as you can see here. So for this email, I'm going to go ahead and grab the G-Shock logo. I'm going to go ahead and slide that in there. I'm just going to leave this as a white border. Something I like to add to my logo section as well is just a small rectangle section. In here we can write any bits of social proof or anything that we want to add on, such as free shipping, minimum order amounts for that. This is going to be a welcome email, so you can also put the welcome discount code there. But it's just nice, adds a bit more information for the reader. Okay, moving over now to our hero section copy. As I said, this is a welcome email, so I've gone ahead and written out welcome to G-Shock here, nice and simple. I've added a nice big font. This is the font that I took from their website. As you can see, it's pretty similar to the logo font they've got there. I normally like to have the brand name bigger, just to add a bit different sizing. I don't have this font downloaded on my Mac, so I can't edit it. But yeah, we like to have some different sizing within this headline copy, just to make it look a bit nicer, give it a bit more character, and place emphasis on the brand, obviously. Okay, moving into the copy of this section here, I'm going to go ahead and press T on my keyboard so I can add in a text section. Here, I'm just going to write something along the lines of, we're glad to have you. Okay, so I've written my copy out now. Just going to resize it just so it fits a bit nicer. What we can also do is go ahead and create this 10% off with a different color. I'm going to go ahead and choose this red here just to help it stand out. I'm also going to change the font from Inter to Helvetica, just so that looks a bit more on brand there. Then as you'll see, I haven't added the discount code within this copy, so I'm going to add another separate box for that. So I'm just going to press R on my keyboard to build a rectangle, center that, make it white, and then I'm going to add a stroke on the right hand side. I'm actually going to change this to a dash stroke. As you can see here, we've got dashes now, so I'm going to change the numbers 55. All right, so now we have a nice little section to write our discount code into. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our discount code written within the box. What I like to do to center it is I just like to drag the corners, make sure that it's lined up with the box, and then on the right hand side we can make sure that it's lined up with the alignment section there. And then if you want to go one step further, you can go ahead and group these together on the right hand side. Call to action, boom. So this will move along, sorry, this isn't a call to action. Discount So yeah, we can move this around freely without having to select both the layers. We can also copy paste it, move it around the email. So similar process for the button. Going to make it slightly bigger here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and add a stroke to this on the right hand side again. This one will not be dashed. I'm going to create a 2-stroke, leave it on white, and then we can have that centered and aligned there. Another tip for aligning things, I know there's different ways to do this for the designers of you watching this, probably cringing right now. I'm not a great designer, I just know the basics. So if you go over and drag a ruler in, you can make sure that that's at the 300 point and then line up all your assets to the center of that line. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and done the same trick for our call to action, just added the text in, make sure it's all aligned up in the corners. I've also added a drop shadow, if you notice on this call to action on the right hand side, if you see over here. So yeah, that's just using the drop shadow effect 2 and 4 on the XY axis. So that just adds a nice bit of depth to that. So now you've got all your copy written out, the final thing you want to do is make sure that it's aligned correctly. You don't have too much wasted space, so I'm going to pull that down a bit closer to the actual hero image. I can then go ahead and pull my logo section down slightly, and then I can select everything and drag it all the way up to the top. So yeah, that's Hero Sections 101. So now you know how to create a nice looking headline, a short bit of copy, and a button with a nice aesthetic image in the background. Okay, like I mentioned, because this email is a welcome email, I'm going to go ahead and add a brief introduction to the brand here. So I'm just going to pull this in using our same call to action from the top of the email with the headline and some copy. I used ChatGPT to help me write this, just gave it quite an in-depth prompt about the brand and what I wanted to talk about, reminding of the discount at the bottom here. But yeah, this just adds a nice introduction to the brand for our welcome email. Okay, so now it's time for some products. I'm going to extend our frame down so we can have a bit more space to work with. I'm then going to go ahead and give us a different color background just to mix up this email a bit. If you go over to Casio G-Shock's website, they use quite a lot of blacks and grays. So I'm going to go ahead and replicate that in this email, just adding a nice background here. And if you don't want your background to move while you're working on your email, just go ahead in the top left here. You can see I'm just going to toggle the lock. So now I can't select this, this component. So now when I'm working on top of it, it's not going to keep accidentally selecting and being annoying. Right, a short bit of copy here just to introduce the product section. Okay, so firstly I'm going to add 4 products to this email. I'm just going to create the first component section and then we can edit that for the remaining 3. So I've gone ahead and copy pasted our product image here. For a lot of you, you're going to want to try remove the background of this to make it a bit nicer, as you see here. This is how I copy pasted it directly from their site. It had no background. So what you can do is you can come down here and you can install some plugins. So just go over here, search Icons 8 background remover, select the image and then just run that, and then that should, if the image isn't too complicated, that should do a good job of removing the background and making it look like this basically. Okay, so I've gone ahead and drawn this rectangle which we're going to use for the base of our product sections. I'm going to go ahead and add this, bring this to the front and center that. I'm making sure that that is completely centered there. Again, quite simple. Figma make it quite easy to make sure everything's centered together. Going to add a copy section here. So this is actually for a product series rather than a specific product. So I'm going to go ahead and add that up there. And then finally, we just want to add our call to action within this section. So as you can see, similar looking call to action to the rest of the email. Just going to go ahead and drag that in there. Make sure the image is centered. So yeah, now what we can do is we can select that, go ahead and group it. And now we can copy paste it to create our other product sections. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added our other products here. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure these are all lined up and I'm going to drag them over into our email. So as you can see, that gap's quite big there. So what you can do if you select everything together is you can use this in the middle and just resize them. This is a nice intuitive way to resize the components within your email. I'm going to go ahead and make that, let's go 30 for that. And then simply just going to center this to the center of our frame. Okay, and that is your product section done. I do recommend adding another big general call to action at the bottom of your product section, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in now. Okay, so I went ahead and added this other section here. I noticed that they had a bit of a quiz, so I stole this from their email because I didn't want to recreate the graphic. So yeah, this is just another call to action. As you can see, take the G-Shock quiz, and then we've gone ahead and reminded of the discount code and added another call to action. So the final step will be creating a footer. So I'm going to extend this once again. I'm going to create a rectangle here just for our separation with the footer. The footer will be black for this brand. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paste our logo in here now. I normally like to add a different variation of the logo that we use at the top. As you can see, this just is G-Shock in black. And then moving down to the footer, obviously we've got a black background, so we kind of have a black logo. We've also added the little Casio logo above that. And then as far as the buttons go, I've just repurposed one of our call to actions. I've changed the font to match our headline font. And then I've also obviously changed the color to match the Casio section. So I normally recommend 3 or 4 buttons in our footer. So I'm going to go ahead and create 3 buttons here. Okay, so that's our footer done. I've also gone ahead and added some social icons with an unsubscribe link. I normally like to add these in Klaviyo, sorry, but I just like to add them in Figma also, just for the visuals really. And then as you can see with the buttons, I've gone ahead and done a shop all button, FAQs and contact. These are some basic buttons that I like to use for footers. it's worth testing different things. Like you can have different products in your footer to link to different categories. You can use ones like this. You can add less buttons, you can add more buttons. So it's a good thing to test if you're going to monitor the performance of your footer. But normally something like this, set it and forget it. You don't have to worry about it moving forward. Okay, so as you can see, we've now created an email. So not great, just done for the sake of this video, but as you can see, this could be a welcome email that you saw in your inbox and it wouldn't look out of place. So just quickly, if you don't want to deal with the ideating and the designing of your welcome flow, we're currently offering brands that qualify as free 6 to 8 email long welcome flow. The purpose of this is just to test it against what you have now, see if we can outperform what you currently have. If we can't outperform it or you just don't like the emails, that's the last you'll hear of us. We're not running this offer for too long, so if you are interested, go ahead and check the top link of the description. If the offer's still there, feel free to sign up. If not, we probably stop running it. So yeah, feel free just to shoot an email to the email down below or go to our website and book a call if you are interested in that. If not, let's get straight back to the guide. Okay, so now you know how to design your welcome email. I'm just going to run over some quick design tips. If you're not interested in the design tips and you want to skip straight to the next step of getting your email over to Klaviyo, I'm going to put up a link on screen now to a timestamp. So yeah, feel free to skip over this section if you're not interested. Okay, so the first common mistake I see with welcome emails after reviewing hundreds is the copy spacing and sizing is too small, and also we're not putting enough emphasis on the purpose of the email. So in this case, it's the discount code. As you can see here, there's no bold headline on the left-hand side. The discount code is presumably hidden here. And yeah, it's just not clear what we're looking at basically. So as you can see on our redesign, this is quite an old one, but as you can see, we've added the headline, big, easy to read, welcome to, and then we've gone ahead and added our short bit of copy with our discount code with a big shop now button. All right, so the next common mistake is the button is too low down with no clear call to action. So as you can see with this example on the left-hand side, the shop now button is right the way down there. It's quite small. You could easily miss that. So yeah, what we've done on our recreation on the right, we've added the button above the fold, way up in the email. We've added a contrasting color to make sure people know what it is. And the button says shop 5% off. So it's pretty obvious, one, what the email's about, and two, what the link is about. Okay, moving on to email 3 here. As you can see, email on the left has no buying options, no product section. So as you can see with our email, gone ahead and added 4 different products with the general shop now. However, on the original, they had nothing. They had one shop now button at the top with no product section. Okay, so another common mistake I see with welcome emails in particular is big brands that don't use their social proof elements. So as you can see on the left-hand side, the original has no mention of reviews or rating or anything like that. So I've gone ahead in our recreation and I've added trusted by 250,000 plus Americans. In our little bridge section here, I've added it again. And then for all of our products, we have a star rating out of how many reviews. So this just helps people realize that you are a reputable brand. People do actually know who you are. People do buy your stuff. I've also even added in this little featured in section above the product section. So yeah, something I see a lot, people not using their social proof if they have it. Okay, and then the final common design mistake is unprofessional footer with no CTAs, right? So a lot of brands, you could probably go through and look at the other emails that I've added as examples and notice that most of them don't have good footers. It sounds pointless, it sounds rudimentary, but if you can have a nice clear footer with buttons that go to the site, this actually increases click-through rate by quite a lot. I've seen in different brands that I've audited and I work with, some of the most amount of clicks you'll get on an email is from those footer buttons, right? So if you imagine people scrolling through here, they don't want to click any of these buttons, they don't want to click any of these buttons. So what's the next logical step? They're going to want to either go over to your site, learn a bit more about you, or contact you directly for whatever reason. So yeah, we just want to add a nice professional looking footer with different options to the site. Okay, so now we're moving on to step 2 of the guide. Obviously now you know how to design an email, but how do you actually export it ready to be added into Klaviyo? Okay, so we're going to use slices to export our email. Obviously, as you can see, we've got many different call to actions here. So we want to make sure that each button actually leads to where it says it leads to. So we're going to do this by using slices. So you're going to want to go ahead and hit S on your keyboard. Go ahead and click anywhere within the frame, and then you can go ahead and line it up with the corner. So the way I like to do it is I just create a slice for the hero section here. And then what I like to do is I like to copy paste it. So on the left-hand side, if I scroll down, you can see that we've now got 2 slices. I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and then I'm just going to drag down to create our second slice. This is just to make sure that we're keeping them within the border. So obviously our slices have to be size 600, and also so our slices are lined up along here, so we're not losing any pixels or anything like that. Okay, same again for our product section. We're going to copy paste, we're going to drag it down. Obviously these are going to 2 different links, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this in, make sure that it is even. So this slice has to be size 300, which I'm just going to do on the right hand side. So boom, now we've got this slice 300. I'm going to copy paste, drag it over to the right hand side, and then what we can do is we can select both of these slices and then do the same again, copy paste, drag down. Obviously this one isn't split down the middle, so I'm just going to copy paste, drag it down, delete the slice on the right hand side, and then just drag this over. Again, checking that it's size 600 on the right hand side. Okay, so that's all the slices for our email done. If this is the first time designing an email, you're also going to have to slice up your footer. I'm going to show you how to create a template for that within Klaviyo, so you don't have to do it every single time. But yeah, just running over that, exact same process. we're going to select our slice, copy paste it down. So this link will take people to the shop all section. Copy paste again, FAQs, copy paste again, contact. So like I said, I'm going to be creating the social icons within Klaviyo. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, and then the final step to exporting, we're going to go ahead on the left hand side. We're going to make sure all of our slices are selected. Go over to export on the right. We're going to make these 2 times size. This is because if we don't, the quality just looks trash. It doesn't upscale it very well. So every time you're exporting slices, make sure that you not only add the 2 times option, but we're also going to export them in JPEG form rather than PNG, just because they're smaller files and they load better. Okay, so going ahead and save that to our downloads, pretty simple there. But now there's one more step we have to do before we can actually add these into Klaviyo. Okay, so now we've got all of our slices, but like I mentioned, we exported them in 2 times the size, so the file sizes are going to be too large. So we're going to go ahead and compress the file sizes down without losing any quality. So it sounds like a bit of a roundabout way to do it, but we've upscaled them to make the quality better, and then we're just going to compress them down so they load quickly within Klaviyo. This doesn't affect the quality of the slices. Everything looks amazing once you get it over into Klaviyo if you do it this way. Okay, so we're going to use this website called TinyPNG to downsize our slices. As far as I'm aware, you can use this for free for basically however long you want. I think the only thing you pay for is if you're going to connect APIs to it and stuff. So for what we need, this is completely free. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drag and drop our slices into here. As you can see, we've got 10 different slices. We're just going to let that run through, and then we're going to collect our images once they've all been optimized. Okay, so as you can see, that took about 5 seconds. All of our slices are much smaller now. As you can see, we've saved 80% of the file size. So that's going to drastically increase our load times in the inbox. If you have slow load times in the inbox, people just click off extremely fast from your email. So we want to make sure our slices are loading as fast as possible. Okay, go ahead and download all these. You will get these in a zip file. For those of you on Mac, it's really easy. Just double click and then you've got your file here. And then for those of you on Windows, you can download different tools to basically, I'm sure everyone knows this already, but if you get a zip file on Windows, you can download tools that let you extract the files out of there. All right, so the final step now is just getting our email over into Klaviyo. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, the example I'm going to be running through is going to be a welcome flow, but the fundamentals of building out an email will apply to campaigns and different flows. This is just the example I'm going to go ahead and use for this. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we're going to create a template for our footer so we don't have to re-add it in every single time we want to send an email. So for this, I like to just go over to the campaign section, create a generic campaign. We're not going to send this campaign. Select a random list, and then we're going to go over and create our footer template. So as you can see here, it prompts us with templates the second we get over to the edit screen. We're going to go over here in the top right of the template section, and we're going to go ahead and hit create. Okay, so this is the screen you're going to be met with, a generic Klaviyo footer. So we're just going to go ahead and delete everything here. As I said, we are going to be creating the unsubscribe link and the social links within Klaviyo. So I'm going to go ahead and keep these 2 sections here. Actually, I can do this now. So for this brand, I'm just going to go ahead and add Facebook and Instagram. So as you can see here, just using our social links section. If you don't have this automatically within your footer, just go over to content, basic, and then grab this little social links section here and just drag that in. So yeah, obviously links to your socials go here, very simple. Okay, so yeah, once you've got your social links added in, we're going to go over and select it and play around with these settings a little bit. So like I mentioned, our footer's black, so we're going to go ahead and make the icons white. We're going to add a block background color, which is automatically black. And then we're also going to remove the padding, as you can see there. We just want the block to be fully black. What you can do as well is you can add some padding to the top and the bottom if you don't want it to be so cramped. So I'm going to go ahead and add 10 padding here, as you can see. And then similar thing for the unsubscribe link. We're going to select this. We're going to add our block background color to black. As you can see, this is automatically set to gray, but you can't really read it. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on this, select the whole thing, text color here, make that white just so we can stand out. And then that is the bottom of our footer done. So like I mentioned, the rest of our footer is done in slices. So if you remember, we've got 3 different buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these, and then I'm just going to simply add in our slices. So select image, upload image, select files. Okay, so I've gone ahead and found our top footer section. You'll get this prompt on Klaviyo, but you do not want to compress it because it messes with all the sizing. You just want to leave that the original size. Obviously, if you remember, we just compressed our images, so we don't need to do that. Go ahead and hit upload, and as you can see, that is now in our footer. I normally like to preview this in mobile because it's a bit more going to be what you're used to seeing. And then we're just going to go ahead and do the same for the rest of our footer. Okay, so now our footer is built out. We're going to go over to the top right-hand side. We're going to go ahead and click Manage Template, and then we're just going to save this as a template. Normally, I like to just name this footer, and then we're going to go ahead and save that. Now, template saved at the top there, we can just go ahead and click out of this and delete this campaign because now we've got our template ready to use. Okay, so like I mentioned, we're going to be using a welcome flow example here. Go over to your flows tab on the left-hand side and then just hit create flow. You're going to get loads of different prompts from Klaviyo of different flows to build out. I always like to build out my own. It's very straightforward, especially for the welcome flows. We're just going to go over here. We're going to name this welcome flow test, and then we're going to click create manually rather than create with AI. Okay, so for the welcome flow, the trigger will be added to list, as you can see on the right hand side, the second one down. And then here you're just going to select which list you want to choose, okay? So it doesn't really matter for me, but pop-up form will probably be your list, or it'll be called newsletter. Whatever list that you're sending traffic from your pop-up form over to Klaviyo, that's the list you want to set up for the welcome flow. Okay, so before we go any further, what we want to do is we want to add some profile filters. These will vary from different flows, but for the welcome flow, the only filter we really want to add is if someone makes a purchase while in the flow, we want to remove them from the flow and move them onto the post-purchase flow. Because of the nature of the welcome flow, we sort of want people to run through the whole flow no matter what, unless they do end up purchasing. So we're not going to add any more profile filters apart from that. Okay, so as you can see at the bottom, we've got what someone has or has not done. Choose metric, we're going to go ahead and add placed order from Shopify at least once since starting this flow. So now anyone who places a purchase at any point within the flow will be kicked out and added to your post-purchase flow. Okay, so now as you can see on the right-hand side, this is how your welcome flow should look. You've got your trigger added to list, and then you've got your only one profile filter there. Okay, so first email, we're going to add it in here. We do like to add a time delay. The first email I honestly like to have go out basically instantly, so I'm going to add a 2-minute time delay here. This will vary from different emails, but yeah, for your different emails, you're just going to go ahead and add a time delay. Say our next email wants to go out in 2 days. I normally like to use less days, so actually I'm going to go ahead and do 1 day here, and then you can just drag and drop your emails. So it's extremely easy to build flows. Literally for the welcome flow, you can just go straight down email 1, time delay, email 2, time delay, all the way down to you get to email 7, 8, 9, however many emails you want to add. So yeah, that's just a really easy way. Some flows do get a bit more complicated, but the welcome flow, nice and easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and build out the email we just designed. I'm not going to touch any of this. Right, email name, we can go ahead and just create that as welcome plus discount. And then we're going to go ahead and press select template here. Okay, so this will take you over to the Klaviyo library of different templates for different emails, but obviously, like we just did, we've just created our own footer template. So if you go over to emails, saved, and then you can go ahead and see the footer that we've just made here. So we're going to go ahead and hit that, use template, and boom, we can use that now for all of our emails moving forward. Okay, so if you remember how we did it from the footer, we're just going to go ahead and add in our slices here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added our first 2 slices, but if you remember, our product section has 2 in each column. So what we're going to do is to fix that, we're going to go over to the left-hand side. Let me just move myself. And then you're going to go ahead and select a table. As you can see here, we're going to drag that in. So automatically, when you create a table, one of the cells will be a text and one of them will be an image. Obviously, we want them both to be image so we can add our slices in. So you're just going to go here where it says cell content, and you're going to select the text image, the text cell, sorry, to image. So as you can see now, both sides of our table are images ready to add our slices in. Okay, also, if you remember, we've got 4 products, so we're going to go over to the Styles tab at the top here, and then we're just simply going to go ahead and add a row here. And then simply just go ahead and do the same again, just select our content, select our slices here. Go ahead and click on the other column, select image, same again. Okay, so we've added in all of our slices here, but as you can see, we do have some padding that we need to get rid of, so just go ahead and select the table, go over to Styles, scroll down, you can see we've got 4 padding there, 18 there, and 9 there, so we just want to get rid of all that padding. So as you can see now, this is starting to look pretty good. So finally, we just want to add in our last call to action slice. So just again, by dragging in the image block and then adding it in. Okay, so there you have it. I have now added in all our slices. So now the email is fully built out. Last thing we need to do though is make sure that we've got preview text and link addresses for every single one. So I'm not going to actually do that for this email because like I said, it's just a test for Casio. But what you would do, alt text, if this was my welcome email, I'd just go ahead and put welcome to G-Shock, claim your discount using code welcome 10. Okay, so basically for alt text, we just want to add a brief description of whatever the section is about. Okay, so this section will just link over to a general product section or a shop all button. And then obviously moving down into the product section, we'll go ahead and find the exact product that we've linked and add that link in the link address section here. Also, I actually completely forgot to mention, but when you're creating your footer template, make sure you add the link addresses in at that stage. So yeah, you're just going to go ahead and add in your link addresses to these different sections. So this one will be shop all, and then alt text again, same thing. Just go ahead and write shop all in there. So yeah, just make sure you set your links within your footer at that stage. All right, so that's everything. We've gone ahead and covered how to design an email within Figma, how to export it, how to compress the files, and then how to add it into your welcome flow. As you can see, it's a pretty simple process, so you obviously get faster at it the more you do it. If you do have any questions, just go ahead and drop them in the comment section. I'll make sure to get those answered for you. So yeah, I hope you did get some value from this. If you are an e-commerce brand owner watching this and you want us to do all that for you, go ahead and check out our free 6 to 8 email welcome flow offer in the first link in the description if it's still available. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.